So it was ironical that I was being punished in college and school for daydreaming and being paid in advertising for doing precisely that. When your life is a series of near disasters, then you have to live on your feet. Start thinking out of the box to make myself acceptable to good-looking women. You know,
That was the agenda.
that, that was the only agenda anybody has with 19, 20 years old. Yeah. I was trying to date 3 women at the same time until all of them landed up at the same party and caught it.
Really?
And I learned from them never tell lies.
So then you started dating 3 women, but you started telling all of them.
Yes.
Ah.
I remember my most successful seduction dish ever was scrambled eggs flambéed in brandy. And then people turn around and say, you're a ladies' man. Arey?
तो अब कमाया है इतने मेहनत करके
हाँ,
लेडीज मैन इट्स नॉट
कितनी मेहनत
इजी
की और वो भी without going to a plastic surgeon. So I said, अगर रिसेप्शनिस्ट ऐसी लगती है तो अंदर क्या होगा?
ये ले पेप्सी.
Got another Pepsi.
जैसे एवरेस्ट का तीखा लाल.
This sauce is different, boss.
जोर का लगा. It's different. What is different? Maggi sauces. It's different. Yes.
Sachin. Hi, Sachin. Sachin. I'll take it from here. Thanks. Thanks. All the best.
Welcome to Creative Talkative with Ketki Tewary.
Yeah, we're creative and talkative. There's no stopping this. There's no topping this. Time to explain what's in our veins, what's in our minds. Take a peek into these lives. Yeah, we're creative and talkative. There's no stopping this. There's no topping this.
Let's start with that one because it's a very interesting picture. So how did that whole thing happen? How did he get you to pose without any clothes?
No, he didn't get me to pose. I wanted to pose.
Okay.
So he wanted to do a slightly edgy campaign for the Times of India, saying these people also read Times of India.
Oh, okay.
You know, so in terms of the spectrum.
Right.
So they led with a myth,
Okay.
which was that he's always surrounded by beautiful women in
Beautiful
bikinis, and with a cigar in his hand and a hat and whatever else,
Correct.
and a tuxedo of all those things. So we took the photograph, and it was exactly 1 month after my bypass.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I stepped out of the hospital, stepped home, and then went straight to Marway for the shoot.
Well, you look like absolutely fit and happening in that picture.
Totally.
है ना?
So it was 1 month exactly. You could see the scar.
Oh, wow.
If you look closely at the photograph, there's a big scar on my chest, which hasn't healed yet.
My God. How old were you when that picture was taken?
54. So I said, I want to do one more photograph, which is not a myth, which is the real thing.
Okay.
So Mr. Parekh, who is the photographer, brilliant, absolutely. He said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to do it without any clothes on. I went and took all my clothes off, put on the hat in a very strategic place, and put a cigar in my mouth, and got one of my assistants to get a fish, from the market. So he said, why the fish? So I said, because of my love for the oceans. And the motto of the photograph is, never leave home without your hat. You never know when you might need it.
Oh.
So we took the photograph.
Wow.
A dog came and sat down right between my legs in the distance.
He got the best view.
The best view of all. Okay. Unhindered view, as you call it.
I think it is your best picture. But I think your life itself, the way you've lived it, if I had to be a fly on the wall and experience somebody's life, hands down, I would say I want to do it for Prahlad Kakar. I want to go right to the beginning because I have heard this very interesting story and I refuse to believe it, that you were actually chucked out of play school because you flashed yourself at a 5-year-old girl at the age of 5.
Excuse me. I didn't do it voluntarily. As a matter of fact, she gate crashed our little club, you know, and threw a little tantrum because she was an entitled little thing. And her mother was the principal of the play school which we were in.
Correct.
She said, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. So I said, I'm not interested because at that time I must have been 5. So I didn't realize that there was any difference anyway.
You thought it's the same.
It's the same. I've seen myself. Why should I want to see you?
Correct.
So she threw a tantrum. And so my friend Naveen, he caved in and dropped his trousers and showed. So she looked at him for a long time. And then she said, your turn. So I said, no, now it's your turn. So Naveen shown you his, now you show us yours. And then I'll show you mine, if you still want to see it. So she threw another tantrum. So I said, the hell is it? And dropped my trousers. And then she ran away. 15 minutes later, one PM comes from the principal's office saying, Mem Saab bula rahi hain." So we said, oh shit, now we are really screwed. And then we walk into this office and there she is standing on kind of big crocodile tears, stamping her foot. She said, I want, I want, I want. So the mother tried to placate her and saying, what do you want, baby? So she said, I want one nalki, like Naveen and Prahlad. I'd never heard the word nalki before referred to as we would call it popat, we would call it Polly, we'd call it all sorts of names, but never nalki. So then the mother asked her, how did you know they have a nalki, baby? Then she said, because they showed me. That was it. I was thrown out.
Okay, so you took your nalki and you were chucked out of that class.
Yes.
Then you were chucked out of many more classes, apparently.
Obviously, because I always found myself in situations where
I hope not for the same thing.
no, but
okay.
equally scandalous things. Like for instance, in college, I was a Brahmin college, it's a good Bhatt college, Ferguson College, Pune. We have a whole lot of scholarship students who are Brahmin boys who are studying Sanskrit. They didn't know English too well. And so they used to feel a little insecure with the rest of the students. So they used to hang out with each other. So one day, one delegation from them came to me and said, Kakar, tu Angrezi अच्छा बोलता है, so will you teach us English? So I said, why do you want to learn English? You're doing Sanskrit, you're doing perfectly okay. She said, no, the girls don't talk to us. So I felt sad for them and I said, these strapping young lads, vegetarian on top, like, तो vegetarian. ऊपर से लड़कियां नहीं मिल रही ऊपर से सुबह शाम संस्कृत में घोट रहे हैं
कुछ तो अच्छा होना चाहिए उनकी लाइफ में
तो कुछ तो इनको so I sat to them and I said, see, the best way to learn English is to learn it through song.
Okay.
So I'm going to teach you a bhajan in English. And what I didn't tell them was that it's a rugby song and it was a dirty song. Okay. So it was about a prostitute.
And they're thinking it's a bhajan.
And it was to the tune of the blacksmith told me before he died, don't know whether the bastard lied. Jai. Bastard lied, don't know whether the bastard lied. Jai.
Oh my God.
At the end of 6 months, when I came back to Delhi for my term holidays, I got a receipt letter saying that you are no longer required in the hostel as you have been held guilty of corrupting the morals of the Brahmin boys. That's one of them.
Tell me this, you always knew when you were in college that this is what I want to do?
No, I actually got into a bank. I got into a multinational bank.
Oh.
On a walk-in interview.
Okay.
And they said, yeah, you're fine. If you get a decent second class in your, what are you doing? Well, I said, economics only. So I didn't dare tell them what my main subject was. My main subject was military strategy.
Military strategy?
Yes.
Oh.
And the history of war.
Okay.
Right from Mahabharata to you name it.
Wow.
Okay. And I was really interested in it because I came from a military background. I came from military school. And I was fascinated by the business of tactics and strategy and winning wars, because wars are economic. Wars are not, मैं तुझे जोर से मारूंगा तू मुझे कम मारता. I didn't want to tell this bank that I'm majoring in military history.
Correct.
What are they going to do with me? Then I went to see what conditions they were working in. It was very plush, very top of the line, top payment. Everybody is celebrating at home, saying "Nikamma, Pappu pass ho gaya" kind of thing, So because nobody expected anything from me because I was hopeless in studies. I should only fantasize the whole time. So it was ironical that I was being punished in college and school for daydreaming and being paid in advertising for doing precisely that. I looked at this lot, all grey, really ugly women, you know, and all like tunnel vision sitting on these calculating machines.
Yeah,
with
but
these
they are
big
not
stones.
bikini models. They're not supposed to be gorgeous.
No, but whatever it is, yeah, I mean, at least there should be some sunlight, there should be some windows. I thought to myself, I'll die here. So I said, run. So I ran. And I never went back. Anyway, I was walking around in great depression because I was not too welcome at home at that time. And while walking past, there was a bungalow I saw, one Rattan Dead Road, and it said ASP, Advertising and Sales Promotion Company. So I was walking into the garden and they were all sharing lunch. It was winter. I asked them, what do you all do? So they said, we are advertising agency.
Oh.
So I said, you seem to be having a lot of fun. He said, yeah, it's a great job. So I said, can I come and join?
Oh.
So they said, you have to talk to the boss. So we walk in, there's a lady at the reception, her name is Farida Pandey. She'll help you meet whoever you want. So I went in, chatted up Farida Pandey, who was the receptionist. She had the best pair of legs I've ever seen in Delhi. And I said, man, I'm home. Farida was mini-skirted, long legs, I mean, Delhi 1971, wearing a miniskirt to office means, I said, wow. I said, this is paradise. So I said, अगर रिसेप्शनिस्ट ऐसी लगती है तो अंदर क्या होगा? So Pepsi was a happy accident. When I started working with Pepsi, they gave us all the chiller stuff, called lesser brands. I was ditched to the tits to the brand. Everything that the brand value stood for, the Bible stood for, was me. I was irreverent. I never took myself seriously. Always loved a good laugh. Always believed that if you can laugh at yourself, the world will laugh at you. They started trusting my instinct on the brand. So because he lives the brand.
You clearly wanted Aamir Khan for the commercial,
Yes.
and they were pushing for Shahrukh Khan.
Because
So-
both of them had just launched their
Launched,
careers.
correct.
Shahrukh had a reason. He wanted to own a flat in Bombay. And he was offered to, somebody was wanting to sell a flat to him for 6 lakhs. मुझे 6 लाख ही to own a flat. That was his be all and all in terms of his ichha. So he agreed to 6 lakhs. And Aamir had just come out of
QSQT.
QSQT.
And he didn't want to do it.
And he didn't want to do ads because there was stigma involved. Because the stigma was that as an actor, as a mainstream actor, you only do ads when you're broke. When you're not doing well. I said no. Shahrukh's time will come. He has not launched himself as the character. Whereas with Aamir, I don't have to worry about explaining him. He is the character from the film.
Correct.
Then we had to find the two girls.
Correct.
And finding Aishwarya was a chore. Believe me, everybody in the head, from the client to the peon in my office, had his own vision of what Aishwarya's character should look like. Aishwarya walked into my office, one of the girls dragged her from Kailash's office. She'd gone there for an audition. Looked like a jhalya, one typical student, torn jeans, slightly rumpled hair, nice mane of hair, and the most startling eyes that I've ever seen in my life. And when to get the cast approved, they said, she was the main girl. They said, not bad. Now show us the rest. So I said, there are no rest. So they said, what do you mean? You're not giving us a choice? So I said, I can't because they don't make them in twos.
The other brands, जैसे Maggi, I think it's different वाला जो campaign
No,
है.
even that was
Even-
a chore because the film got bounced. We had a tough time even in casting. So we got dubbed by that. Then finally, how that came to be, how it became 2 minutes history, and that they still haven't been able to grow out of
Grow
that
out of
legacy.
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, if you don't want to name the agency, then we won't name the
I have
agency.
no problem.
But
I'm a muffat.
but आपका outstanding काफी हो गया था, clear नहीं हो रहा था.
It had been set aside for a particular reason, and that was more important than work. Whole year we had to wait for this holiday here, and then they did pay. So we got damn cuffed. So then we went to the office and said, we can't go to Goa, so we'll come to your office. And we'll pay you rent. So you owe us 1 lakh, we come here every day for 10 days, have a holiday, and you can deduct 10,000 rupees a day for all expenses.
They must have been like shocked beyond their
Shocked
wits.
beyond any imagination. They just could not believe that somebody could do that to them, especially a vendor, a supplier,
Correct.
whose total lifeline is dependent on their goodwill.
My God. And then फिर वो finance वाले ने पैसे दिए कि नहीं?
Of course, next morning, PN आया, check लेके.
But all the other passions that you have. So now let's talk about, I mean, there are several, but let's start with food. Okay. So first and foremost, I must tell you, I did not know that the Irish coffee at Prithvi Theatre is something that
You invented.
It is one of my all-time favorite beverages. The first time I had Irish coffee, I had heard so much about it. And then we went to Prithvi and then I said, oh my God, yaar, ye kya hai? Because I was like spinning for the rest of the day.
One of my girlfriends was air hostess, so she said, you take time out, you come to England, come and stay with me. So I spent some time in London and spent a lot of time in the theatre district,
Okay.
where all the plays happen. And I found an American bar and restaurant. It's called Joe Allen's.
Joe Allen's,
I was
okay.
so impressed by Joe Allen's that when I went to Prithvi, and I looked at Jennifer and I said, can't we convert this into a Joe Allen's? So she says, you can't convert this into Joe Allen's, don't have booze here, we don't have a booze license, we have nothing. So I said, no, don't worry about that, we will give them an Irish coffee, nobody know there's alcohol in it.
Tea Center again was such a beautiful place, the food and everything. So it's like I said, I mean, eating at and knowing the fact that you had something to do with it, I think made the food even more tastier.
No, but I had some very brilliant people. My entire office was involved.
Yeah.
So other than make movies, which was the main stay, we did everything under the sun, from running a scuba diving school to
Which is
running
the
a
next
kitchen,
thing I want to talk about.
Yeah, to running a wine business.
Correct.
We even made wine in my
Cigars.
house in Goa in a bathtub.
Wow.
And we called it Mardi Gras. And we drank 300 bottles of wine over 2 months in the office, and nobody died.
Even cigars.
I love the smell of the cigar.
Cigars.
The
Correct.
ritual of the business of cigar. The ritual itself is so rich that just the fact that you could smoke with the right etiquette in itself is so desirable.
Correct. And what about swimming? Were you always a very passionate swimmer?
Not particularly.
No.
I could only do the backstroke.
It's a very relaxing stroke, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, even that's my favorite stroke as well.
So when I started scuba diving, that's when I realized that my biggest weakness was swimming. But then I convinced myself, I said, scuba diving is not about swimming. Scuba diving is all about sinking.
Ah, okay.
It's scary. Initially, you think you're going to die. Because you're just wondering, so what the fuck am I doing underwater? I'm not supposed to be here. Artificially breathing air.
Yeah.
And being so ungainly. Because everything around you is so glidey, smooth. Fish, the frogs, whatever you are. And you are the most
Only
lumbering
awkward
object in the business. And then you learn. See, the art of scuba diving and yoga is very similar. It's all about breathing.
But ये कौन सी कहानी है जहाँ पे I think you used one of Ogilvy's quotes to pata women. I have to hear this story.
This quote was, you go out to a lady in a bar who's the center of attraction because she's the most good-looking woman in the room. And there's Lallu me, highly unimpressive physically, and trying to wiggle his way in next to her and get in one word. So I sidle up and I turn around and say, Madam, if you give me 5 minutes, I'll talk my face away. You will believe I am who you want me to be.
I hear you're also an aspiring sperm donor, is what I've heard.
Well, I always wanted to be one because what happened was that the funniest thing was I lost the greatest opportunity, a career opportunity of my lifetime among my many careers. We used to do a lot of work for Sunil Adag at Britannia.
Huh.
He said, I want your son as my brand ambassador. He put 3 films together. Britannia has never ever had a response of that kind. Their
Really?
share value went up by 500%.
Wow.
Everywhere he went, we were held responsible. Oh, the Britannia boys, the Britannia boys. Everybody knew at airports and railway stations, on the road, they all recognized it. And then I saw this opportunity, which I didn't take seriously. Lost the career lifetime of mine.
Which is?
That all the traditional Gujarati, Marwadi ladies who all want sons on the trot. If it's a daughter, your money back.
Are you serious?
If it's a daughter, your money back, and I will take the daughter off you because I was trying to have a daughter. And since the product is limited, we can only entertain one lady at a time in a week.
All this apart, so now what is next on? So now you've written a book also. सब कुछ कर लिया अभी और कितनी लंबी लिस्ट है?
Now my only ichha that is left is to have a wooden sailing boat with enough room for 12 guests, a great kitchen, diving in some of the most remote spots in the world because you don't need any ground support. And just sail around the world.
Wow.
Dive where you want to do, what you wanted to do. Have the best wine larder on the ship. Have the best food which is fresh. You don't even have to put it on. You catch
it.
And the company that you want. If I'm really grateful to anything natural, it's the ocean. It teaches you the greatest value human beings will ever learn or begin to learn. The art of being still. So then what's the point? This is a waste of time. But I've written the book like a fly on the wall watching me.
Hope you had as much fun listening as we did talking. Do subscribe for updates on our upcoming episode. Like, share and follow us on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram as well as creativetalkative.com. That's creative with a K.